My good friend, that's fine, but lugging that around all the way to the party is not a good idea. I've got this really beautiful little extra new keggy thing that you guys have got here in New Zealand, and I would like to take that along for my party. How do I get pressurized and carbonated beer from my corny keg into a keg like this?
So what we need to do is transfer under pressure. So we saw before with when we filled our keg from the fermenter that we did that without being under pressure, and that was just by gravity fill. So you can move carbonated beer from one vessel to another using CO2 gas.
CO2 gas, so that means you've got CO2 in there. This doesn't have any CO2 in it at the moment. I know we've sanitized it, we've cleaned it, but it's not under pressure at this point in time. So my suggestion would be you put a few bits of CO2 in.
Yeah, so we make sure that both kegs have got the same pressure in them.
Why do you want them to be the same pressure?
Because you need an equilibrium where the beer's not going to start foaming by going between the two. So
Obviously into the gas connector, good. We're good to go, yeah. Squiz, squiz. All right, now you've got two pressurized vehicles, exactly the same pressure. I have got a beer transfer line here, which we have sanitized.
So this has got your two beer connectors.
So beer connector there, beer connector here.
Yep, that's correct.
How's that? Because usually you got an in, then you got an out, or you got an out and then an in. Why both connectors beer?
Because we're going from product to product. So we'll go out on this one.
That goes out, right? And this one goes into the beer line because it fills it up from the bottom through the reed. Am I reading that right?
Yep, that's correct. So we put that on there as well.
Nothing is flowing yet.
No, nothing's flowing yet because we've got that equilibrium of the two pressures being at the same.
Is the gas, once you start transferring here, not going to become less? The pressure is going to decrease here.
So you want to keep that gas the same. So you add your gas line to the gas side.
So you've got three things connected. We've got our CO2 with the right pressure, which is a big question. What's the right pressure for the transfer?
So we're just going to be transferring around about that sort of normal 10 to 12 psi.
Right, that's going to keep this pressurized. We've got a beer line running because that's our dispense line, and this is going into the beer line because that's going to fill it up from the bottom.
Correct.
Got it.
So now all we need to do is actually remove the pressure from this keg.
And that will effectively suck it from the other one.
That'll suck it through
Yeah.
and fill the keg. So just by doing that will start the beer moving between the kegs. And then as it's filling, you just sort of continue to check the weight of it, and you can tell if the beer's cold, usually it'll cause a condensation line on the way up.
Like it's done with this one already, yeah. You can see where the beer level is on that. Good. And you keep on filling it until it's full, or you want some headspace in there?
You also want a little bit of headspace in there. So on the iKeggers here, they have the 10 litre mark, so you don't want to fill them up any higher than that. But just continue to sort of let off a little bit of pressure each time, just to make sure that that gas continues to flow and the beer continues to flow through the hose.
As easy as that. That way we've got our pressurized carbonated beer from that one into here, and we can go for a picnic. Thank you, my good friend. We can go, what, is that it? I can take it and I can go?
So then you just want to make sure that obviously you purge it, fill it back up with gas.
Right.
Because we've let so much gas out while we've been filling it.
You want to
Fill that up with gas, and then we're ready to attach your serving regulator and your bar tap.
We're going to be dispensing in a minute. I'll see you later. So that looks awesome. That's a thing of beauty. When we keg and we carbonate with kegs, there's a few things we need to keep in mind just to make sure that we don't mess this up. I've learned a few things from you today. The one is you are dealing with a CO2 cylinder. So there's some tuning you have to do, and knowing the pressures and knowing how your cylinder's regulator works, right?
Yes, absolutely. So you want to make sure that you've read all the instructions that come with your regulator and your gas bottle, and then you want to make sure that you're working at the right temperatures.
The other thing that I didn't know is all this purging of oxygen from your corny keg because I thought corny keg's fine, you just zap it with CO2, you'll be good. But you're right, you have to get all that oxygen out, right?
Yep, that's correct.
The other important thing we keep on emphasizing is the fact that you need to work with clean equipment, sanitizing all the time. That's a takeaway from me here.
Yep, absolutely.
The amazing thing about your beer is you can have many different recipes, and we've only illustrated what we can do with CO2 today. But if you make a porter or you make a really good stout, there's a little extra you can do. You're not just working with CO2 then, right?
No, you can also use nitrogen. So what we also sometimes use is a mix of nitrogen and CO2, which then makes a smaller bubbles in the beer, and you can work at a higher pressure for that as well. So you can work around sort of 32 psi with your nitrogen, and then it will make a nice creamy stout head like this.
You know what I love about you guys at Black Rock is you make things easy. Well, all the things we used here today, maybe not apart from this nice little gimmicky tank that we've got, but our corny keg, our plastic fermenter, your beautiful ingredients, some of the things we use to flavor it, all of it is basic stuff. I can make a commercial quality beer with basic beer equipment. That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing with us. We appreciate it. Thanks for having the Cowboys.
No problem.